John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Lexus Postgame podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com podcast. As the Sooners win it 50-20 today over Iowa State, and you know what that means. That means we now have a showdown between 5-0 teams in Dallas coming up next week. The Red River rivalry, the Sooners, the Longhorns. I don't know, just quick, I haven't even bothered to check. Is that the biggest game in the country?
Next week?
Yeah, but is it by far?
I 100% think that, well...
I mean, what else competes with it? What else is good that's
I don't
out
want to
there?
say that it 100% is, but this is the biggest OU-Texas game 12 years? I mean, you said 2011, this is the first time that it's been two undefeated teams?
First time since 2011, but I feel like there's been...
Well, I mean, that was Landry Jones' year, so that doesn't really
I would
count.
say this is...
We cannot disgrace the name of Landry Jones. He was
there
in
today.
the Palace tonight.
Greatest quarterback in program
I
history.
went up and talked to him. He's doing well. He has like 25 kids running around. It was really good to see Landry.
He seems like a man that has really kind of loosened up.
Yeah, he seemed great.
Yeah.
He was awesome. Like, and it was also one of those things too that is like hadn't seen him in a while. He definitely like remembered me, I think. It was good to see Landry Jones.
I love the Landry Jones talk, but I think that's enough Landry Jones talk.
LSU Missouri doesn't do anything for me.
No.
Alabama A&M doesn't do anything for me. UCF Kansas doesn't really do anything for me. Embarrassing loss for the Golden Knights today. Georgia Kentucky's kind of a big game.
Kentucky
next
looked
week, all of a
great
sudden.
today.
What offense embarrasses USC next week?
Are they off next week?
They get the pleasure of playing the Arizona Wildcats next week.
So they
before a
are
trip
off
to
next
South
week.
Bend.
They are off next week.
You think that every week.
No,
anyway.
it's the biggest game in the country next week.
No,
and I think
and
I think this is the biggest OU Texas game for Texas in a long time.
it's just as
Absolutely,
big
yeah.
for Oklahoma, though.
Is it?
But what
Yes.
he's saying makes sense, though. Like, Texas has come in here. They built up a lot of capital. They beat Alabama.
They think they can win a national title.
Right,
I don't
yes.
think there's many
They're number
OU
3
people out
in the
there
country.
that think OU can win a national title.
I think there's a lot of
this year.
people out there that are listening that think OU can win a national title.
Well,
do
they're
I
high.
agree with that?
They're on some drugs.
Well, I wish I was.
OU can go win the Big 12, and I could even see them making the playoff. They can't win a national title this year.
Probably not. But I think that if they were to go down and win in Dallas, all of a sudden you're 6-0, and you are having those conversations, right?
Yes,
Maybe
I mean,
it's not realistic, but
maybe.
No, if they go down and they beat Texas,
can
that's
talk-
as much as anybody else has done in college football
Yeah.
all year.
right. I saw that, and again, it's college football game day, whatever they call the final kickoff thing, but I saw that Dan Mullen had Oklahoma as his biggest surprise in college football,
saw
which,
that.
I
Well,
don't know how
he
it could
said
be a
out of the teams out of the
surprise.
top 10, which could get into the playoff.
Oh,
hunt.
is that okay?
And
That's
he
what
said
it was.
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's a massive, massive game at the Cotton Bowl, and for the first time in a long time, it feels like this week is going to be awesome. It's truly going to be the epitome of what OU Texas is, and two teams that have a lot to prove. Texas, as you said, George, with the idea that they could go win a national championship and be on that plane, and I think for Oklahoma, it's a little bit of a statement, and as far as this is where we're at. This is what we have been building to get to. And as we talked about on the instant reaction show after the game, George, this is what everybody thought OU should be. They should be 5-0. They should be going down to Dallas undefeated and playing well.
And here's the thing, and why I feel, and I'm sure we'll get into what we think is going to happen next Saturday, but why I am somewhat confident that they can win. I'm not sure I'll pick them to win, but why they can win is how they've performed in those. Like, they're not just 5-0 like they skated through. They've been pretty dominant.
There was like we're going to talk a lot about Texas. Let's start by breaking down what we saw tonight, because I think it's relevant to what you're saying right now. I mean, for the first time, I think a lot of fans saw defense and they felt like, oh, crap, it really hasn't changed. And it did feel like that. It was such a messy end of the first half. All the penalties, as much time as it took to play that last 2 minutes in the half, and the penalty.
Insane.
I mean, it was crazy.
From the moment that OU got inside the 25, I think it literally took 20 minutes for them to finish that drive.
It was not fun for anybody, I don't think. But I will say, they knew they had the ball coming out. You're coming off of a Zach Schmidt missed 36-yard field goal, and it didn't feel any good on the fan base when Iowa State turned around and made a 48-yard field goal to cut the lead to 1 for Oklahoma, and you just felt like, once again, they're in this place where if they're going to crater, it's going to happen now, and they end up going into the half 40-20. I mean, that was the biggest part of the game, and you cut down on some of the really, really rough play in the secondary. And George, I know I saw you tweeted that this feels like nothing has changed, but you give up a 51-yard pass. You give up. I'm just going down the scoring sheet here. What was a 39-yard pass that you gave up? Then a 67-yard pass. So
I think it was 3 plays basically in the first half that amounted to 160 yards.
And it was weird because it seemed like OU was in the position to make plays on those. Like Key Lawrence on the first one was there, and he just stopped. I think he thought he was going to intercept the ball or something. I don't have to watch.
There have been a couple of those plays this year, and it makes me wonder, are guys just afraid of getting that hit that's going to get them thrown out of the game?
Yeah. And I get that, but at some point, you just got to make a play there. I don't. It felt like the same way with the 67-yarder. It was Billy Bowman on that one that just missed, and I don't know. But that's correctable stuff. That was the one thing that you look back and you're like, well, at least it was somebody was there. They just missed on the play, whereas in previous years it was well, there was no one within 20 yards of them,
right?
But.
And really, that play, the 67-yard, that was the last. That was when the bleeding stopped after that play. There were there was almost the whole half. It was 14:55 left in the second quarter when that 67-yard touchdown. So yes, it was really bad midway through the first quarter to the start of the second quarter. But after that, you only give up a field goal and you outscore them, massively to win in a blowout.
I'll give him credit. Tom Green had tweeted it out during the game, but when Iowa State cut the lead to 21-20, second quarter, they had averaged 8.4 yards per play, 259 total yards. After that, Oklahoma's defense held them to 93 yards on 2.8 yards per play the remainder of the final 39 minutes of the game. They shut that shit down. They something clicked.
Well, Campbell, this was the other thing.
Yeah, you went into Matt Campbell's press conference,
and
right?
he was asked that question of what changed after that play, and he said that OU adjusted defensively and they didn't have an answer, and he was they brought more pressure, they did some different things in their coverages, and that to me signals okay, this coaching staff clearly gets it. How often did we see, and I'm not saying that Alex Grinch never made an adjustment, but
no, but you saw,
but it never
Mike
worked.
Stoops,
whatever they did,
Mike Stoops and Alex Grinch did when it started going downhill, it just kept going downhill.
Right, and so for Oklahoma to be able to the players respond to the adversity is a great sign, but 2, the coaching staff to come up with a good adjustment and game plan to fix it. It just again signals. Things are headed in the right direction in that area.
And it's really, to me, watching the game, because I'm at home, you guys, we're out of press passes. We can have so many people there. But you get to see so much more of the sideline interactions. And that's something I always did at the game, get the binoculars, see what's going on the sidelines, and mostly with injuries. But Brent said at the beginning of the season, I have to be more involved in the defense. And every shot of Brent, the sideline warning penalties, they're out of control. But you're not going to stop that because you're talking about a staff that is heavily invested. It always does seem to come when they're on defense too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I've thought about that, but yeah, it is.
Well, one of them was
100%.
a special. Wasn't one of them on a kickoff return or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was.
Oh, it was on the kickoff after Billy Bowman pick 6. Wasn't it early in the game?
Oh, no, I'm talking about a different game he got. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
Anyway, you clearly see how much more invested Brent Venables is in just coaching every little aspect of this defense.
Yeah, and this kind of leads into this week and what everything is. But I told George just a second ago, I'm really excited to see what he dials up. Like the Sark versus Brent Venables line, I'm sure storyline is going to be played up this week, and I'm excited to see what Oklahoma does defensively and different things that they haven't shown so far, because I think that there is a trust with what they're doing defensively, and they can trust a defensive line to be able to stop the run, or at least test Texas to have to make some plays and make Quinn Ewers make some plays.
And we get more into that, but one thing I wanted to point out is we're talking about the defense, setting it off and making adjustments and shutting down their defense. We have to stop here and give Dylan Gabriel a ton of credit for what we saw. We have never seen a quarterback torch an Iowa State defense
he did tonight. I don't have the stats that Brent relayed in the postgame, but to think that they put up 50 against a Iowa State defense that just simply doesn't do that. They don't give up that many points a game.
They hadn't given up over 300 yards passing since 2020.
It's crazy.
As a defense.
He played really, really well. Most allowed since 2020. I want to say that the 50 points was like only the second time, or it was the second most points scored against Iowa State in, I want to say like, it was a long time.
I want to say 2000, I think.
Yeah, I want to say it's been like decades.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, Dylan Gabriel in the day, 26 of 39. He did have a pick, but 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then 3 on the ground.
I will say, too, on the interception, he chewed Jalil Farouk's ass out.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was on Farouk. Farouk was supposed to come back to the ball.
Yeah, he kind of gave up and just let the like Drake Stoops literally ripped an interception out of a defender's hand tonight for Iowa State. You didn't see any of that fight from Farouk. He just kind of like, the ball's.
But the thing I love about the way Dylan's playing is he's almost got this, and I kind of wrote this in my game stories. Like he's got this like arrogance to him almost, and like it's that same arrogance. And again, he is no Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray or even Jalen Hurts.
Nobody's going to call him Johnny Manziel Jr. anytime
But
soon.
he is playing with that same sort of confidence that you have to play with to be a great quarterback at a school like this. And I mean, the runs that he had, the trucking the guy in the end zone.
Yeah, that was impressive.
And then him talking shit after the second one, like that stuff we did not see from Dylan Gabriel a year ago. And he's aggressive, pushing the ball down the field. He's letting his guys go make plays. And the offensive line deserves some credit, too.
I think he trusts the shit out of the wide receiver unit.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned it, too. He has all the time in the world. The pass protection's been unbelievable. I think he's only been sacked twice this year. Three times.
Tonight marked only the 7th time Iowa State allowed more than 40 points since the start of the 2017 season, a span of 81 games, and it was only the 2nd time Iowa State has allowed 50 points in a game since 2015. So it's been 8 years since they've allowed 50 points.
What's the best quarterback Texas has faced this year?
Jalen Milroe.
Technically, I guess it would be Milroe. I mean, do you want to say that it was JT Daniels with Rice? I don't know. I mean,
you mean Jason Bean? Jason Bean was bad.
Jason Bean and I have a very documented history. I don't think that he could start for Lambda Chi intramurals team. He definitely wouldn't start for Fiji. I know that, but he's the kid that almost got me kicked out of the press conference.
OU's gonna. I will say I do feel confident that OU's actually going to score this year.
Yes,
Eddie. I don't think you are giving bad vibes.
I do this every year. I do this every year against.
I think by Friday I'm going to convince myself OU's going to win.
Yeah, I just think that I do think though that the way that they've played it serves this. That's why I think that this week is a monumental week just within what Brent Venables has been building. Like this is if you want to call it a statement game, this is as big of a statement game and as big of a stage as these guys have played on, and particularly Dylan Gabriel, who I think that there are some questions about how he can play against really good defenses. And if he can go do it against Texas, then you can start having the conversations that I think we want to have about it.
Guys, we're talking about a football team right now where everyone before the season was asking us, do you think they can win 9 games?
And this is my point to what Eddie just said. I agree with everything you just said about being a statement game. But I don't think in any way, shape, or form the result on Saturday defines Brent Venables and what he's built.
No.
No.
I would agree with that.
Like they could go lose by
'cause I think Texas is
21.
very good.
Exactly. I think Texas is very good, and they could go lose by 3 touchdowns, and I still think this thing is probably heading in the right direction.
George,
100%.
Footsie with me. Stop it, please.
100%. But at the same time, I do think, though, that with all the good that Dylan Gabriel's done and as well as he played tonight, it's going to be kind of erased if you go down and you turn the ball over 3 times against Texas. It just is. That's the way the fan base is going to look at it.
It's amazing. I was watching the Texas game earlier, and they were talking about it had been 280-something passes since Connor Wegman had been intercepted.
Quinn Ewers, you mean?
Or Quinn Ewers. What did I say?
Connor Wegman.
Connor Wegman. Yeah.
He transferred to Texas overnight, and he can't play because he's out.
Quinn Ewers threw an interception, and then he threw one right before halftime. It was a terrible. I mean, but that's the thing. I didn't realize he'd been so long because I've seen him play in bigger games, and he's not always the most reliable. And not that Dylan Gabriel is either. I mean, he was lucky he only had 1 interception tonight.
Yeah, there was a couple that should have been.
But that's also, I know, George, that's something you've talked about in the past. Like, sometimes you have to let it rip. Sometimes you have to take those chances because they're like the ball he had to
the ball
Austin
that
Stogner tonight.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, that one. But I think the best example is the one to Gibson.
Yeah,
the play, and Gibson makes a
Fourth
great
down,
play.
too.
Yeah, Gibson makes a great play, but that was thrown into essentially double coverage, and it was placed perfectly, and Gibson went up and got it. But that's the type of play that changes a game, and I don't know. He's just playing.
gotta have a little maverick in you.
Even the Brennan Thompson throw, he's covered, double covered, and he beat him, and it was underthrown. But he's just trusting his guys to go make a play, and come next week and even the rest of the season, you're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to be aggressive, and I don't know. I think he's playing. Some people don't want to admit it. I think he's playing some of the best football in the country right now. And when you look at his statistics, it's up there.
And that's why I think it's so interesting going into this week, because if you came from the outside looking in at what OU's doing, I think that you would look at statistically what Dylan Gabriel's doing, offensively, defensively with the numbers that they're putting up. You'd go, oh, this team's really, really good. But I think that we all have this little PTSD in the back of our brains. It's like just waiting for it to go bad.
He leads the Big 12 in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and completion percentage, and QB rating.
He's having a fantastic year. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this right now. You want my hot take? My biggest takeaway from today's game that pertains to the Red River rivalry, it's this. It's because the way he talked about him in the post game. I think Brendan Thompson has a major impact on the Red River rivalry next
There's
week.
something there.
I
don't know how they're going to use him, but there's something.
Wouldn't it be
feels
perfect
like.
too? The Texas transfer. I mean,
I was a little surprised too after the game. Brennan said that he had not been truly cleared to play in games because he's been suiting up since the SMU game, and he hadn't seen the field. He said that he hadn't been cleared until this past week.
Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, and you're right, Carey, because it seems like every year that game, like when OU wins or whatever, somebody emerges. Like I think it was, you think back to even D.D. Westbrook had his coming out game in that 2016 game.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown was really good.
Damian, we can go all the way back to Damian Williams.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it's somebody out of nowhere, and he would be a good. I mean, he was flying by guys tonight. I mean, he's a difference maker.
I just don't know, and we're going to talk about it on the Unofficial 40. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the Sooner Scoop YouTube shows coming up this week. I just don't know if OU can just truly run the football. I still don't know if they can do that.
Yeah. I don't know if they can stop. I don't know if they can stop the run. I mean, Texas they're really good at running the football.
Well, they were really good today.
Yeah.
They were ranked. OU and Texas were tied at 65th in the country in rushing offense.
But they've also played Alabama.
That's true. And I think they're better at running the ball than OU is.
Yes, definitely.
That's for sure. But
good news on Danny Stutzman too. We probably need to throw that out there because when he went down in the third quarter,
he's been dealing with that all year.
Just the way that he was carrying the shoulder, I thought, oh boy, he just dislocated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
didn't look good.
It did not look good. But at the same time, when they kept showing the replays, it was like you didn't really see his shoulder. It's kind of wrapped around a guy. It wasn't like slammed into the dirt.
Right. It wasn't like an official dislocation or anything like that. It must have just been a stinger.
They only rushed for 3.8 yards per carry tonight. That's,
OU?
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
it
good,
was
no.
not good. But I say that there were times where I thought like Marcus Major looked pretty good running the football.
It was better than last week.
It's
I
interesting.
thought there was a time when Gavin Sawchuk looked like he was getting a little bit of a rhythm, and then it just went away.
Have they rushed for 200 yards in a game this year?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe against Arkansas State. I can't remember what they ran for. But that's not good. Like, you need to be able to, like, if you're going to win next week, you need to be probably running close to 200 yards in that game.
Well, that's like the most cliche thing that you talk about when you're talking about OU Texas is who's going to be able to run the ball, who's going to be able to handle the momentum of the game, and the turns that always happen. It's just
Here's a problem.
It's a different game.
Here's a big problem next week: field goals and punting.
Yes.
I told George the same thing.
Punting's
OU
bad.
OU has a punting problem.
They don't want to punt now.
Well, yeah.
And actually, that might benefit them.
Also, they ran for 220 yards against Arkansas State.
That doesn't count. We can't count that.
I know. They ran for 189 against SMU.
It is crazy too that, and we talked about this on the instant reaction. They're collecting turnovers this year, and it's just like, oh yeah, that happened. Remember back like 5 years ago when OU couldn't force a turnover? They just couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get the ball from the other team.
They have 12 through 5 games. They had 21 in 13 games last year.
Top 5 nationally, right?
Yep.
That's what
I think
Brent
they're going to
said
be.
after the game.
I also think they're going to be number 1 in the country in interceptions with 10. They were second in the country with 8 last week.
We'll see what they do with Jatavian Sanders. I understand that he had an ankle injury today. That kind of, for me, that's something that changes the game next week.
Yeah, he got rolled up on like offensive linemen do when he was blocking.
Because I just don't know how they, like, who are they going to have cover? And Brent Venables announced tonight that Justin Harrington is going to be lost for the season. He had the ACL surgery, which just is a shitty thing to happen. Because George, you wrote the story about kind of his comeback and what he had done to put himself in position to be a big player on this defense.
I need to stop writing these feature stories. I just keep jinxing all of them. Like,
well, I look forward to Danny Stutzman's story this week.
The Justin Harrington story tears his ACL. Gavin Freeman has done nothing since he returned that punt for a touchdown. Key Lawrence, I wrote about Key Lawrence this week. What's he do? He gives up a 50-yard touchdown pass.
And I'll say, like,
he got benched, didn't he?
But Reggie Pearson came in and played well.
Yeah.
And
he played well.
Again, last year when a guy got burnt, they had nobody to come in.
They would have had no alternative. They would have had to stick with it.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll stop writing about the good players.
After Stutzman.
Yeah, after Stutzman.
Well, look, it was a good win tonight. It wasn't always pretty. There were times it was ugly. It was over officiated, I thought, to some extent. I mean, the penalty against Tawi Walker's run, it was a little tic-tacky, I thought, to be.
Oh, the one that got, what was it, a hold?
It was a hold on a receipt. It was on J.J. Hester.
I can tell you my dad said it was bullshit, is what he told me. So,
yeah, J.J. Hester got called for holding in a play that it had no effect on the play. So, and it was funny because Tawi Walker went over to the bench and Venables still gave him a fist bump, and it was like, that's a great run. So, yeah, I mean, I told you guys this after the game. I was like, let's not make the running back a big storyline because people are getting sick of hearing us talk about the running back situation.
I mean, I think it is what it is. I'm glad that we had some
Javonte Barnes
on it, though.
Yes, we had some very clear, I guess not clear, but at least paints the picture a little bit on Javonte Barnes. What was the exact quote Brent said? Just he's not fully
Basically
healthy.
Said he's beat up, like he's not healthy, and which is weird because I remember talking to Javonte at the beginning of August, in the beginning of preseason camp, and he acted like he was 100%, that the rehab had gone well.
But I wonder if once he gets into game form, like something came back up, like it popped back up. I don't know. I mean, I still don't understand what exactly the foot injury was. It's something with his toe or something, wasn't it?
I think Gavin Sawchuk is
deal.
like, I know that somebody posted this on the Crimson Corner just as far as like what Rodney Anderson had done in 2017 and how he kind of got acclimated and then things skyrocketed after Texas. I don't know if we're going to be looking at that where he's putting up 150 yards a game like Rodney had during that streak, But I do think that Gavin Sawchuk is still a guy that you want to have the ball in his hands. He's a home run hitter. He's a guy that can go make a big play for you.
How many carries did he have tonight? He had 7 carries for 20 yards.
Yeah, and it was only like 2 a carry, 2.3 or something like that, right?
They need Taylor Tatum. That's what they need.
Can he Devon Mitchell himself? And
I am getting to the point with the running backs where I just let me see Smothers or Hicks. It can't be any worse.
I had that thought tonight. Just kind of sitting there
and just let those guys. I mean, just they're athletes. Like let them go make a play.
Here's what I think though. I think the reason that you saw Marcus Major start tonight is why you're going to see him start next week. He's the most reliable.
Yeah, they trust
of
him.
the guy,
and he's good in pass pro, and he caught some passes out of the backfield tonight. I mean, he had 4 catches tonight for 17 yards.
I'm just looking at the Texas box score right now. Jonathan Brooks is a problem.
Yeah, he had over 200 today.
218 yards.
They ran for like 336 yards.
He averaged 10.4 yards per rush.
To be fair, Kansas's defense is really bad.
They were ranked pretty high nationally, though.
Kansas's defense?
Yeah, going into the game. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
They're not.
I think nationally
horrible.
they were like top 25 going into the game.
I don't know. I mean, I watched some of that game today, and they were just getting gashed. And maybe that's a credit to Texas.
Well, their best, outside of Xavier Worthy, their best receiver. And I thought Jordan Whittington had,
Kansas ranked number 21 nationally.
Yeah, George.
Total defense.
What are they in rushing defense?
I'd have to look that up.
He has to hit another button. The A.D. Mitchell kid, the transfer from Alabama, right? Like, he had a big day today.
He had a big game in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yes.
Kansas 25th in rushing defense. OU 26th. Yeah. What were we talking about?
We were talking about what a problem Jonathan Brooks is going to be next week.
Yeah. I would be more worried about their receivers. Because I think OU's secondary. OU's been pretty good against the run. I think and I'm not saying they're going to just stuff them, but
I think the word terrified could be used of what like Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, because OU's secondary's shown weaknesses.
Yeah,
I mean they teams have been able to throw the ball.
I mean, look
on
tonight.
Yeah,
you have a 3rd and 19, you give up a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean even SMU was able to throw the ball on them a little bit. I mean,
you have to get pressure on, and that's why it goes back to like what Venables and the defense staff are going to put together. How do you confuse the line? How do you open things up? Are you going to, does Deshaun McCullough have a bigger role in rushing the passer and coming off the edge? Or does, whoever?
Yeah, Brent's going to have to dial some stuff up.
And I thought tonight, you didn't see a lot of exotic stuff tonight. I mean,
no, but they, and like Matt Campbell said after the game, George, it was kind of one of those things of they did have the sack numbers wouldn't tell you that, but they did have a lot of pressure in the second and third quarter when they really needed to dial something up. They got him off the spot, and I think they made him uncomfortable a little bit.
It's been really effective, too, when they bring Kanik and Stutzman. Yeah. They've both been really good, and I think you're going to see a lot of that next week where they bring those guys and try to create the pressure that way. And
you know what I noticed tonight is that Iowa State was always very aware of where PJ Adebawore was.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Pretty good pronunciation.
Guys, he is so close on so many plays.
I talked to Trace Ford after the game. There was a point in the third quarter where he kind of mixed it up after the play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I asked Trace, I was like, is that one of those things for a young guy that you look at it and you go, okay, this guy's like starting to grow a little bit. He's talking shit. He's getting in people's faces. And he's like, dude, I think like Coach Chavis was like the most excited about all of it.
By the way, I want to remind you, it is OU Texas coming up, and we have always been had great care taken by Eskridge Lexus to make sure that we've got the great rides up there. And they're just a fantastic partner of ours, our official travel partner for everything Sooner Scoop on the road related. They've sent us to the SEC Media Days. They've sent us to Big 12 Media Days. They've sent us all over. They've sent us to Ames, Iowa. I mean, they send us everywhere and take care of us with their vehicles. So I want you guys to go check them out, eskridgelexus.com. A lot of new stuff coming out from them, like the third row. I believe it's the TX. So you might get in line for one of those. I know our guy Bob. I never really knew this. Like the third row thing is like so big for like families now. I guess like is that like I know you guys don't know, but I assume that it's like if you want to have all the kids over to your house, you got to have like the best stuff, the Kool-Aid and the toys and all that. Like if you don't have a third row seat, you can't take all the kids to like the movies together. So you're like not the cool kid.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. I figured not. Yeah. It's the wrong crowd. Sorry. Eddie's just looking at me like, who is this crazy person?
Yes, I think that it is. You'd have to ask the...
We'd have to ask Bob.
Never mind.
Bob's not here.
No,
So.
Bob isn't here. We could ask... Well, never mind.
Josh isn't here either.
No, I was going to say somebody else, and it was going to be bad. It was going to be bad.
All right, we'll just skip over it then. But no, Eskridge, let's have no bad during the Eskridge Lexus Street. So go check them out. If you need that car and you're having a hard time finding it, they're not going to gouge you. You're not going to pay over MSRP. Just go EskridgeLexus.com. Get in touch with our guy, Ed. He will do his best to find you a car. He's done that for Eddie and I, even when it was a lot worse time to buy cars than it is right now. So check with the good folks at Eskridge Lexus. Great luxury. Eddie will tell you it's probably changed his life as much as LASIK surgery has.
Absolutely. I love it. I love having the Lexus.
They're great cars. All right, so EskridgeLexus.com. Go check them out. And thanks so much to them for always sponsoring the post-game podcast. All right, so George, you got big plans early Texas. I mean, you're kind of the only one that doesn't have like radio responsibilities on the way down there and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go see my brother.
Because he lives there, yeah.
Yeah, he lives down in Uptown, and it's going to be fun. I haven't been to OU, Texas since 2019, Jalen Hurts year.
Were you on the beat then, or did you just go?
I was on the beat.
Okay.
Yep, I was on the beat. So I haven't been since then. So I've missed some of the greatest games ever played there.
Now, was there like, let me ask, in the post game, were there a lot of people kind of fishing, trying to get some Brian Bosworth type?
I mean, I was.
The color orange makes me puke.
I was fishing. I mean, Danny Stutzman had the quote. I asked him about, Brent's line tonight was, you don't get any trophies for being 5-0, and so I kind of said that to Danny. But I said, with OU Texas coming up, this is a big
get a trophy.
And he was like, yeah. He goes, our next trophy is the hat, and I can't wait to get it back in the locker room.
There was a lot of talk after the game, and Jaden Gibson said something. Trace Ford said something. The 49-0 thing definitely sticks with a lot of people, and I think that as much as they probably won't come out and say it this week, that has been if you want to call it a rallying cry throughout the summer. I'm sure that is something that Jerry Schmidt has brought up multiple times.
Even Brent mentioned it.
They built the locker rooms and everything when Bob Stoops was still the coach. So like they all had a hand in it. But I remember when they first showed us the locker rooms, they actually have this little inset display inside the locker room where the golden hat is kept. So when they go past that every day and don't see the hat, they're reminded, oh shit, we lost to Texas last year.
They want to. Yeah, I mean it's on. I mean even Brent. I don't know if he was referring to just last season, but I think it was in reference to the OU Texas game where he said that what they did last year was not a representation of what this program is supposed to be, and I think he was referring to not just last season, but what happened in that game. Because it was Barry. I think it was Barry Trammell.
It was embarrassing for everybody that was associated with it.
It was the hardest thing to sit through in my career. Like,
I asked you if I could leave.
Yeah, I think I almost let you.
Can I go to the fair?
Because there was going to be no one was going to watch Sights and Sounds that week.
No, no. In fact, I think that half of the files have just been like the file footage for that game is very nil. Very nil.
I remember when you and I were going through and doing all that in the summer. We're
there's not much.
OU Texas is tomorrow, so I'll be finished with that in a hurry.
Yeah, it'll take 45 minutes.
I remember
so bad.
I watched it in Denver, and I turned it off after the first quarter because I was like, this is just a massacre.
It was so awful. I mean, it was like you would get a little hope because Eric Gray was doing a pretty good job.
I remember the first drive, they moved it down the field.
Well, it became apparent very.
And all that.
It became.
Well, they went 3 and out on the first drive, but
did they?
Yeah.
It was very quickly apparent that they had no shot of actually putting it in the end zone. Like, they could go from the 20 to the 20, but as soon as they had to put Davis Bevel in the game, they had no shot.
I think after the fake field goal and then they weren't able to score there, I think they ended up going for it on fourth down and didn't get it after the fake field goal. It was kind of like, okay.
But the thing that was the most frustrating is just having to, not deal is not the right way, but, having the fans so upset at you because they wouldn't put in General Booty. They wouldn't at least give him a shot.
Yeah, or Nick Evers or whoever.
Yeah, like now we know why they never put in Nick Evers because, he's like, is he even on the depth chart at Wisconsin anymore?
He's like fourth string.
And, we've seen a little bit of General Booty. He's not the answer.
No, you got to.
It was a frustrating game.
Is it too much to say that this is the biggest game of Dylan Gabriel's career?
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
That's correct.
No questions asked.
Name a bigger one.
Yeah,
it is
not
even possible.
This is
not
it.
Even close.
This is it for him.
Yeah. Well, it's what I wrote in my story today. 5-0, great. He's playing awesome. It's awesome to see. But next week he can etch his name in like Sooner lore.
Yeah,
I will say this.
Right, you can put your name into like some of that, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Of OU quarterbacks that have
Landry
led a
Jones.
Oklahoma win.
I don't want to speak anything into existence, but man, he is without caution in the way that he's running the ball right now.
Yeah.
And it kind of worries me a little bit.
As much as I like him dropping a shoulder at the goal line, hey man, just get the ball in and get back to the sidelines.
Well, and it's almost like I don't want him to do the slide feet first thing anymore because to me that's
he almost had one again tonight. Yeah,
that's what continues to open yourself up to the worst kind of hit. And he's been fortunate that guys have just slid over him.
Yeah.
But he's only one of those plays away.
But hey, here's the thing.
And I'm going to say this: if I'm a coach anywhere, and I'm not saying I would be dirty. I'm saying if you could take out someone like a Dylan Gabriel, you would gladly give up one of your best players.
It's worth 15 yards.
Here's the thing, though. They got Jackson Arnold, and I'm not saying that Jackson Arnold would save the world, but it's a hell of a lot better than if Davis Bevel comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in a much better position than they were a year ago.
And that's why he's running that way. It's like he knows there's at least somebody behind him. And I think Dylan has become very accepting of this is it for him. He's got, at the most
leaving it all out on the field.
Yeah, this is it. And I think he wants to play at the next level, and he knows he has to have a really good year to have that chance. And so I think that's why he's just going balls to the wall.
I told my dad after the game, Bert Auburn went 2 for 4 today for a Texas field goal. Won't happen next week. I can't remember the last time that a Texas kicker missed a kick in the
Are we
bowl.
confident in Zach Schmidt?
No.
I'm not at all.
No.
Even
I might be more confident 40 and out than I am 34 and in.
Even the 46-yarder, though, didn't look like...
Was that a 46-yarder?
Yeah. It looked almost like he was going to be short on it.
Well, and I will say, the direction that they were kicking, it was very windy down there tonight.
Yeah.
So it was into the wind, and that's why I wasn't so surprised that Iowa State was able to make the 50-plus yarder or the 48-yarder tonight, because that was with the wind going into the north end zone.
So he was kicking into the wind on that 36 and that 36.
On both of them. The 36-yarder, it like floats in the air. It was like a golf shot almost.
I could see that. Well, real quick, we've talked a lot about the big plays that were given up early in the game, but like you said, Reggie Pearson, I think he's, George, we always used to do like a stock up, stock down. Everybody would kind of take a guy that they felt
I
like. I
listened to the pod.
Well, we haven't done it in a long time. So
I know, why not? I was wondering why we don't do that.
It was always a really good segment. I think it just kind of became one of those things. It's like tonight, we started this at 2:00 and we just get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And we had sponsored segments and all that, and then it just got to anyway. But no, I mean, I think obviously, I don't know, George. You want to take someone with stock down? Let's start there. Let's start negative and work our way to positive.
Stock down. Key Lawrence.
Damn.
I know.
That's who I was going to go.
Key Lawrence. I'm trying to think. I mean,
here's a off the wall one.
I don't think Kanik played well tonight either.
Savion Byrd.
Well, yeah.
Is that a stock? Can that be a stock down without him actually playing?
I think it's Troy Everett's job.
With the way that they're pass protecting, and I don't blame it all on the offensive line. It has something. I mean, let's face it. I know we can relay some of Josh's thoughts, and he'll get in on Wednesday, but I think he and I see things the same way. It's just that Marcus Major doesn't always make the best decisions in the open field. There was a play tonight where I think Drake Stoops had his man walled off, and he went behind Drake Stoops instead of in front of him, or vice versa. He went behind, into the block instead of away from it, and it's like, how do you not see that? Like, so I know he's the starting running back, and he did look really good early in the game, but I'm giving my stock down to Major.
Yeah, Josh gave.
I just don't think that he is the guy.
Josh gave Kanek a 50.
Yeah, I don't think he played good tonight.
And who knows? I mean, coming back from that injury is probably pretty scary.
Yeah, he just missed some tackles though tonight. Like he just wasn't.
And he wasn't really flying around. Yeah, I didn't feel like.
I would just give stock down to. This is going to be so mean. I would just give stock down every week to Austin Stogner, even though he had a nice catch tonight, but
it was a flat out drop in the second half. Second quarter.
It's a waste of a body out there, in my opinion.
Damn.
Am I wrong?
No.
We've been saying it
Eddie
for
just
weeks.
likes it when other people are more of a villain than he is.
I mean, I like him. That's why it's so
I
hard.
like him too, but I like Jaden Gibson a hell of a lot more to be on the field.
And if that's the alternative and you're going to put more wide receivers out there, I mean, they had 11 guys catch passes tonight.
Yeah. They got some dudes it's crazy. That is their best position group.
By the way, it's not an effort thing. It's not an ability thing. But some stock. You mentioned it earlier, Eddie. Some stock down for Gavin Freeman. I think he's pressing too much on his punt returns. Like he's trying to field everything.
He needs to
so he
fair
can make
catch
a big play. Yeah, he needs to fair catch
him.
it. That could cost him next week, big time. But he's impatient, and I think it's starting to show. And we talked about him trying to run everything around the edges the other day. He just has to. He needs to find his zen, like what Dylan Gabriel talked to you about tonight.
Also, some moron was in my mentions today saying that they need to stop throwing the ball to Drake Stoops. That dude, all Drake Stoops does. Are there more talented guys?
He's the reason that they scored the touchdown before the end of the half.
All he does is catch every ball thrown his way and get first downs. Like that's all he does. Like I don't understand. I don't want to hear any Drake Stoops slander.
It's another one of those things that I feel like they look and they see a short white kid that they want somebody else out there. Like
they
that's
want
what
Jaden
it is.
Gibson playing his position.
And I don't think that's like, and he doesn't play that position.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like, it just, I don't know.
He's a really good football player, man.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, he does not drop anything almost.
All right, stock up. I still saw a lot of really good things from Ethan Downs. I mean, I don't think we haven't done this so far. He's probably deserved stock up just about every episode. But he's getting more playing time. You see him coming off the edge in the run game. Like that's the one thing that I noticed with him more than anything. He's so much more active in run support this year than he's been. And he's a guy that will help clean up sacks and things like that. But you're seeing him just kind of shed blockers. And there were so many tackles for loss early in that game that defense was riled up and ready to play, and he was a big part of it.
How about Gentry Williams?
Oh.
And not because of the pick.
Stock up, you mean?
Stock up, yes. Gentry Williams, not because of the pick. I love how he's tackling right now.
Oh yeah,
and making plays behind the line of scrimmage in the run game.
He gives me some shades. This is some people won't know this, but I kind of get a little bit of Derek Strait, tackle. Just a guy that just flies out of nowhere and is a sure tackler.
It probably went unnoticed. I'm not giving him stock up, but just because we're talking about the cornerback position, Josiah Wagner played quite a bit tonight. I'm interested to see what PFF has his numbers at. I would say there was probably more than 15 snaps.
You know who's getting a lot of snaps, and I'll give him a stock up because I thought he played well, and it won't show up a ton in the box score is Marcus Stripling. His role is increasing. He's playing well on the edge. Like he's not getting beat. I think did he have the sack at the end of the game there in the garbage time?
No, I don't think so.
They have him down
I don't think he was out there.
a tackle for a loss, but I thought he was in on that sack. But I think he's playing pretty good. His snap keeps going up. So
stock up on Jonah Laulu for me today too. I thought he did some good things.
Did OU get?
He was another one of those guys that it doesn't go down into the box score, but he was moving the pocket. He was making people uncomfortable.
He's been really good in there, and it's been a good move. By the way, stock down Trace Ford. You gotta jump
Just
on
because
that ball.
just because of the punt.
You gotta
punt block
jump
thing.
on that ball.
Yeah, it was.
And I think what happened was he was trying to pick it up because he didn't think it was going to be across the goal line.
He said that he thought that there was an Iowa State guy coming towards him, or behind him, I guess, and he just wanted to get on the ball and secure it, and it came out.
Okay. I kind of felt like he was trying to carry it into the end zone so he could get the touchdown.
As bad as OU's punting team and Zach Schmidt missing the field goal, I do think that they can change the game in terms of blocking a punt.
Yeah.
And we'll see next week.
That would be quite a storyline, Peyton Bowen going to Dallas, from being just outside of Dallas from Denver.
I'm working on
he's
something.
Have a ton of family.
I'm working on something. I think I'm going to drop several features. This is a big week, man. The content is going to be awesome.
I'm excited.
Eddie and I were talking about doing a video like every day.
Yeah, this is as excited as I've been for an OU Texas game in a while.
It's going to be a
maybe
huge
17.
game, dude.
2018 was big. Remember, Texas came in. They were ranked. You had Kyler Murray. That was a big one.
Yeah,
and Texas won, and everybody said Texas is back. And then Texas was good that year too.
Yeah, and they played again in the Big 12 championship, which I think everybody that looks at the conference and just kind of what this thing is and the landscape of it, as of tonight, I fully expect them to play twice this year. I fully expect OU and Texas to play twice.
Or West Virginia.
I didn't see if they won tonight. Did they win?
They did beat TCU in Fort Worth.
TCU didn't score in the second half.
Carey, we were talking about this before.
Such a bizarre team.
We were talking about this before we got started. There's a very real chance that West Virginia comes to Norman on November 11th at 7-1 or 8-1. They have Houston next week they have Houston on Thursday they're off this week. Then they play at Houston on Thursday, October 12th. Oklahoma State on October 21st. Central Florida on 28th. BYU on November 4th, and then they come to Norman on November 11th.
I think today was a case of UCF not knowing what the Big 12 really is.
They were up 35-7 and lost.
36-35.
And
I think a terrible Baylor
I was about to
team.
say, I think Baylor's bad.
Well,
Shapen
came back today.
Oh, he
He
did?
was terrible
And then
early,
he let him
and then
back.
he started
No shit.
figuring it
That's
out.
a bad loss for Central Florida.
They're not a bad team either. I mean, that's going to be a tough win for OU.
But it's at home after the
Yeah.
bye. It makes you feel a little bit. I mean, at BYU. Did you guys watch any of the BYU Cincinnati game?
Yes,
That was
because
the
BYU is my
damnedest
lock of the
thing.
week, and
It was the damnedest
watched
thing
every
of all
second.
time.
Yeah.
Like I don't think
Emory
Cincinnati's
Jones
very
is
good.
not a good quarterback.
No,
I mean,
no,
he's just not a good quarterback.
Cincinnati
But for
made
them
a
to-
lot of big mistakes.
But Keaton Slovis isn't a good quarterback either.
And for BYU to just turn it on, and that final possession, 3 plays, 82 yards, all of a sudden they're leading at halftime. It was weird.
BYU's 18-1 in their last 19 home night games.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that OU's going to be playing out there at 9:30.
100%.
Either that or it's going to be the big noon 10 a.m. kickoff out there.
I will say OU is also 18-1 in their last 19 home games at home.
Now we haven't gotten
Starting
any
after
hints.
6
Nine.
o'clock.
We
Yeah.
haven't got any
Is
hints
that what it
about
is?
game day next week.
No,
it is.
they're there.
Oh,
It's there.
they're there.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It's in
I missed
Dallas.
it. Okay.
It's in Dallas. From a national perspective, I feel like this is going to be, it's all you're going to hear about, in the ESPN shows leading up into the week. It's the talk of college football, as it should be. This is the way that OU Texas should
And
be.
I think the narrative around it will be largely around probably Texas.
Yeah.
And if they're
And I think that they like that.
Well, you have,
100%.
so you have a Texas team that's beaten Alabama that feels like that they're knocking on the door of national, I don't know, not supremacy, but relevancy. And then you have this Oklahoma team that went 6-7, and they're just trying to get back everything that they lost over the last year when Lincoln Riley did what he did. Like
100%.
It is it's a fantastic just matchup from a mental, and a preparation standpoint, because it really, I mean, like we say this all the time, where it's like, I know we've been saying like this is probably going to be a close game this year, but the Red River rivalry is also a game where one team could literally beat the shit out of the other one when you think that they're evenly matched.
100%.
Emotion plays such a big role in this game.
100%. And I think that's what's so much fun, because Brent Venables has, like, in a way, I think these like kind of mind f***ed his team. Like, they are all thinking and talking just like he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even like
but
the
here's
stuff
the thing.
after the game
Deep
about
down, do they believe it? Do they believe they're ready for this, or are they still worried that we're still that 6 and 7 team?
I think that they believe it to a certain extent. They believe that,
I think the guys we talk to
Sure.
believe it. Like Danny Stutzman, he's all in.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, he's all in.
Sure.
You know,
Ethan Downs is all
you
in.
wonder about the other guys, right? Like you wonder, and I'm just throwing a name out there, but like a Rondell Bothroyd, like does he deep down?
Trace talked about
it.
that a little bit, just in terms of the guys that are new, that have never played in OU Texas, that don't really know what OU Texas is all about, because it is different when you ride the bus in and then you walk down the tunnel. It's a different atmosphere than those guys have ever been in, and I think for some, it can kind of overtake you a little bit.
Well, and you do all that stuff, and then you get down on the field with the other team, and it ratchets up.
It turns up.
It ratchets up the intensity.
It
gets ratcheted.
I truly think that, like, being down on the field for OU Texas and being down in the tunnel and stuff,
It's 3 a.m. almost. It's 2:55.
You
it's
also
a
add
different
in
experience.
You also add in there's just like talking about the storyline. It's like last year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Both teams are 5-0, headed to the SEC. Looks like the programs are headed in the right direction, heading into the best conference in football. Like. There's
and I know
just
the
so much
players,
good stuff.
The players don't give a shit about it, but like Chris Del Conte and Joe Castiglione would get a kick out of playing each other in the Big 12 championship.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Yormark's going to make the trip to Dallas.
I bet he doesn't. I bet he doesn't.
With game day there?
I bet he doesn't.
It does kind of
If he's
highlight
smart,
if you're losing your two best
If he's
teams.
smart, he'll be there.
Yeah, I would agree.
I bet he doesn't go. I don't know. We'll see.
If he does go, he should say things like, this just shows that the Big 12 can be on the biggest stages with everyone else.
Well, if he says that, then he's really stupid because he's not. He's talking about two teams that are leaving.
Right, yeah.
But
So I don't think he'll be there. There's nothing he can say that.
But I think he should be
makes
there
the
to be
Big
like, we want to, it's a farewell, thank you for all the memories, bullshit.
I think my commissioner should be there.
I think
Greg
the
Sankey
thing at
should be
Lubbock.
there.
Greg Sankey, now that would be
Oh,
awesome.
Greg
if Greg
Sankey
Sankey
showed up?
Yes.
No, I think after what he did at that tech luncheon, he can't show his face.
Oh no,
Texas.
he'll get. Could you imagine if he walked out there for the coin
Oh,
toss?
my
He
God.
would get booed.
It'd be awesome.
Texas fans want.
It'd be like Roger Goodell
Like
showing up
everybody-
at an NFL game.
The one time the entire stadium is in unison as Brett Yormark walks out and they just boo his ass. That'd be amazing. They do that. I mean, he's gonna have to be there when they play in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, he will. Well, that will be the only time he's at an OU Texas game because I don't think there's any way.
Yeah,
he goes
you're
to
probably right.
Dallas.
It would be great though.
Not
Be
to
good
mention,
content.
that's a City of Dallas event more than a Big 12 event. Like, they're the ones paying OU and Texas to play that game there.
Speaking of which, have we booked our hotel for that?
No, I need to do that, but there's hotels everywhere in Dallas.
Okay, I'm just
I just needed to find out what time you guys want to get there, and do you want to stay?
Last time I
Saturday
booked a
night?
hotel for OU Texas, I was a student, and it's just chaos for that. So it's just like I get paranoid about it.
We'll just stay at Zaza. I guess we have to stay at Zaza, and if that's what's going to
There
happen.
are no rooms at Zaza. I guarantee
we can
you.
we can maybe make a phone call.
Are they paying for it?
Well, they will not be paying for it, but we can make a phone call. I know the people to call.
I also love that the bye week falls right after OU Texas.
Sure.
Because we can just
I
take
don't
a
think
break.
We're going to South Bend.
I don't think I want you to at Zaza. I don't.
No,
I mean, it's
we-
an 11 a.m.
we
kick.
wanna
By
be
the
at
way,
Zaza.
we don't need another. What was the game where you both woke up hungover?
Tulsa.
Tulsa, yes.
And we weren't
we weren't
hungover.
hungover.
I was just tired.
We were just reminiscing on a great night.
Okay, so it's OU Texas week officially. Look, we didn't need to talk a whole lot about what we saw tonight. I mean, we gave you the goods.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a very complete effort, and especially when it is 21-20, and everybody's kind of wondering like, oh shit, the defense, they buckled down and they played extremely well. We probably didn't give them enough credit for how well they played after those three big plays, but really, truly, it was three plays that just kind of put a black eye on the night in the first half.
I think so. The good thing about this week is no coordinators. We'll get to sit around and watch Sarkisian's press conference on Monday.
Yeah.
That'll be the first chance for somebody to have a misstep.
I'm sure Kirk Bowles will be out in full force this week.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be good. I'm excited
Kirk Bowles
about
might be here.
I was going to say, should we send someone down to Austin? Oh, by the way,
go see Sark.
Sark needs. I'm going to tell him in Dallas. I might not even ask a question to him in Dallas, but I am going to say something to him about the sunglasses he wears. Those are ugly sunglasses.
I've never noticed them.
They're terrible. They look like he bought them at the $1 store, the Dollar General.
Are they Dion glasses? Is he trying to start his own line?
Dion's are much better.
Tell you what, man, that was it was a lot of fun to watch the Colorado USC game today because that defense at USC I know that we said it last week and we said it on the unofficial 40. It's amazing. Like,
didn't you hate that season?
Exact same shit.
Didn't you hate that season so much? I mean, having the we're close and having the whole fan base pissed off that they were undefeated, yet they were winning games so terribly. It was like these people know what good football looks like. He's denying it at USC too. I mean, like people know they're not stupid.
Colorado was running for like 6 yards a carry in the second half.
I think we've hit every trigger point for OU fans tonight. Landry Jones, 49-0, OU Texas, and Lincoln Riley, all in one pod.
Joe Biden. There we go. We hit them all. Grand slam.
Caleb Williams is the best player in the country, though.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. Nobody's denying that. But
there are some.
Joe Klatt went on like a really weird tangent in the second half about like, I don't understand how anybody doesn't know or couldn't think that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy or in the lead to win the Heisman. It's like, I don't think anybody's saying that, Joel.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that.
There's a few OU fans.
Only North Carolina fans.
Are there?
There's a few OU fans still like in my mentions. Like, he's not that good. I'm like, brother, what are you watching?
It's like we talked about in the unofficial 40. Those people are just. I truly think it's gotten to a point even after tonight. Gabriel's playing well enough that you just can't bitch about it. Like it makes you look like an idiot.
All right, I'm going to let you guys get
You're probably going
home.
to turn the ball over 3 times next week.
I'm going to get the pod up. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back with content all over the place. We'll probably have some extra things here and there with OU Texas coming up. But don't forget, sign up, subscribe to the Oklahoma Sooners podcast, post-game podcast, so you can make sure when you get these. Tons of you listening. We appreciate that very much. And let's get ready, folks. It's going to be a big week, and we're gonna content the shit out of this thing. So thanks again for listening. Get some sleep if you're still up. We'll be back again after the OU Texas game for your next Eskridge Lexus post-game podcast from Soonerscoop.com.